Hello, this is Kathy Medich. For my special effects text tutorial, I chose how to make smoking text. This document was done on a PC running Windows 10 and using Photoshop 2024. The tutorial was recorded using Clipchamp. First, we need to create a new document. The requirements for this project were to do a 5 by 7 inch document at 300 pixels per inch. It doesn't matter what background color you set because we're going to set the background in the next step. So to create the background, go to the adjustment layer and select gradient. Now we're going to do a gray and black background. So select the color, go to basics, and just select one of the black and white backgrounds. Now go to the left stop, and we're going to want to have this be a gray. Now it can be any gray, but I'm going to select a reddish gray. So enter 373737 and click OK. I'll go to the right stop, and we're going to change this to black. So select black for the other gradient color and click OK. Now that we have that set, click OK. Now we're going to change the style to radial, the angle to 45 degrees, and the scale to 110%. Click OK, and what we have now is a nice gradient emanating from the center of the text. Next, we're going to add more of a smoke effect. So create a new layer, go up to Filter, select Render, and select Clouds. Clouds are actually used as the basis for a lot of smoke effects, and that's what we're going to use in the background. Go to that layer and set the background to Overlay. And now our gradient has a gradient that is quite smoky out from the center. Next, we're going to add the text. Go to the text and select the horizontal text tool. Click on the document. Now, what's important for a smoke effect in the text is to select a type of text that has rather fat letters. So I'm going to select the Script MT bold. Set the font size to the appropriate size for the canvas. For this canvas, I'm going to set it to 100 points. And then change the text to your word. So I'm going to just type in smoke. Now I want to move this to the center of the text, center of the canvas, and then move it down a bit so that we have room to add smoke at the top. And there we have our word. Now go to the text layer and convert it into a smart object. This is actually really nice because you can change this word at a later point in time. Next, select the fill of the text layer to 0. So this allows us to add our first effects. Our first effects are going to be blending effects. So go to the effects menu and select blending options. We want an inner glow, so go to inner glow. The blend is normal. The opacity is 100. The noise is 0. Set the color to white, the technique to softer, the source to edge, the choke to 0, and the size to 24 pixels. This shows a glow emanating from the inside edge of the text. Now we want to add more of an effect inside the text. So select the satin style. Set the blend mode to linear dodge, the opacity to 10, the angle to 25, the distance to about 40, and the size to 20. And that gives a nice satin effect, and the linear dodge makes it so it's not as uniform. Now we want some glow on the outside part of the text. So select outer glow, Select blend mode of normal, noise to 0, color to white, technique to softer, spread to 0, and size to 30. So as you can see, now we have a nice effect on the actual letters. Click OK. Next, we're going to use smart filters to add blur to the text. So go up to Filter, select Blur, and select Gaussian Blur. To me, that's a little too blurry, so I'm going to set it to about 4 pixels. And now we want to add some motion blur. So go to Filter, Blur, and Motion Blur. Set the angle to 90 degrees and the distance to about 30. So now we want to move some of the effect from the bottom of the letters. So if you go, select your brush tool, select a decent size with a soft round brush and some hardness, and then you can erase some of the effect from the bottom of the letters. Now since we want to keep some of the effect, set the density of the mask, the opacity of the mask, to about 80, and that keeps some of the effect. Note that since we made this a smart object, we can always go into the smart object and we could change this text, and all of the effects that we had used would still be valid. The next step is to create the smoke above the text. There are a number of ways to do it, but what I'm going to show is an effect using a smoke brush, which was the technique that was used in the video that I had watched. So first, let's create a new layer. And now we're going to need to select a brush type. You need a brush that looks like smoke for this part, and the basic brushes in Photoshop don't have them. So I downloaded a brush set from the site DeviantArt and installed the brushes in Photoshop. I'd never installed brushes before, but I found it to be very straightforward. Once I downloaded the .abr file, I went to the brushes panel and selected Get More Brushes, then double-clicked on the ABR file, and it installed it automatically into Photoshop. So go up and select the brush panel and the brushes. And if you go to the bottom of the types of brushes, you'll see the smoke brushes that I had downloaded. So there are 6 different types of smoke at different angles and different sizes. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to add smoke to the letters, but we're going to want to vary the smoke. We're going to want to vary the size of the smoke, and we're going to want to vary the angle of the smoke by rotating this to make it look realistic. So I'm going to add the smoke to the top of the letters now. So when you're satisfied with the smoke that you're added, you can close the brush panels. And we want to get rid of some of the smoke below that doesn't make sense in the smoking text. So add a mask to that layer, select your brush, select a soft round brush, and paint over the parts that you don't want. I'm going to up the hardness a bit and shrink the size of it. Now I find that this may be a little bright, so I'm going to go in and adjust the opacity to about 80% to make the smoke a little less prominent. So there you have it, smoking text. Now if you want to view the original sources that I used for this tutorial, the tutorial was by Deep Shah and it's available on YouTube. And the smoke brush set was done by Perpetual Studios and I downloaded it from DeviantArt. Thank you.